Hey everybody, Icy Cat here. We have a solid rumor on what looks to be a new Rainbow Six based PvE co-op shooter that is going to be announced at the coming E3 presentation for Ubisoft. Let's talk about it next. I'll put the link to this article from PC Gamer down in the comments below the video player so you can check it out yourself. But according to PC Gamer, there's a rumor that Rainbow Six Quarantine will be a new co-op shooter that could be announced at E3 2019. The article says another game has fallen victim to one of the leakiest E3 seasons ever recorded. According to reliable industry insider Nibble, Ubisoft will announce Rainbow Six Quarantine, a new co-op focused Siege spin-off game, at its E3 2019 conference. They say that rumblings of a new co-op shooter from Ubisoft began earlier this week, and it's based as a new Rainbow Six game. They go on to say it's likely that Quarantine is based on the popular Outbreak mode introduced to Rainbow Six Siege in March 2018, which for those of you that remember it at the time was something that kind of combined the Rainbow Six experience as far as like the operators and the destruction mechanics with gameplay that resembled something a little bit more along the lines of like Left 4 Dead. Now, PC Gamer says that the mode was adored by players. I don't know, personally I've heard a lot of mixed reactions. I feel like as many people couldn't stand Outbreak as actually enjoyed it. But they do say that at the time players assumed that Ubisoft would revisit the concept and add more missions similar to Overwatch's annual PvE events. Since the event came and went last year, fans have continually pleaded to Ubisoft to bring Outbreak back. And on every occasion, Ubisoft has steadfastly and frustratingly insisted that while a successful experiment, Outbreak was a one-time thing. And that is further reinforced by the fact that recently Alex Renemy, the Rainbow Six brand manager that works at the Ubisoft Montreal office, said when asked if there was going to be new PvE campaign added to the Rainbow Six Siege experience that no, Siege was not going to go in any PvE direction. He said the PvE concept for Siege is dead. So if this leak is true, his statement was really based only on the Ubisoft Montreal development team, and that the Rainbow Six experience would still see something for that, just not out of them. As you may remember, the Outbreak experience had been handed off to Ubisoft Paris. So the Montreal team never actually had a hand in making the Outbreak content. So if Quarantine's existence is to be believed, we know why. Outbreak is expanding into its own game. They go on to say that, to be clear, they don't know to what degree Quarantine is based on Siege. While the Outbreak mode starred a handful of Siege's operators sent to put down a zombie alien infestation, Quarantine could ditch all of that in favor of its own world and characters, though the names Outbreak and Quarantine do suggest similar themes. Another thing that goes in line with all of this information is that a couple of months ago, Ubisoft sent out a survey to a number of the Siege player base. Not everybody got it, but for those that took this survey, they may remember that the survey seemed to be asking a lot of questions based around what you would think of Rainbow Six becoming a single-player experience. They didn't say whether that was going to be its own game or something added into the game. They didn't even say it was going to be a thing. They just were merely trying to get a feel with this survey of what you would think about having more PvE content, what kind of missions you might like, what kind of enemy types you might like to play against, how much did you feel that something like this would be enjoyable to play. A significant part of that survey wound up dealing with questions that made it sound like there could be some kind of a new experience coming. And if you combine that with these rumors that are coming from an insider, then you put two and two together and see that this is the direction that was going for, and that the Outbreak event a year ago was something that they were using as an experiment to see kind of how much of a response this might get in the community. Now that means that the game that might be developed over by Ubisoft Paris, if it's the same studio doing the full game that did the Outbreak event, has probably been in development for a good couple of years now. I mean, this was put out for the community to play in March 2018, and of course they had put enough development time into it prior to that, probably a good year prior to that at least, that this is something that is probably fairly well along now. So if this is something that gets announced at E3, that would be this coming Monday, then we probably wouldn't have all that long to wait from its actual announcement to its eventual release. We may even wind up seeing something within this year. And just because there are a lot of pieces in the puzzle that seem to be pointing in this direction doesn't mean we have this actual confirmation yet. Now, I actually was one of the players that received that survey, and I do remember that on there they were asking a lot of questions about various enemy types. If you liked playing against monsters, or zombies, or aliens, or actual people. And so it was really trying to get a feel for what people wanted. But this survey didn't come out that long ago, even though this game may be very well into development. So it sounds like if they're asking those kinds of questions after a game has been in development for so long, that there may be multiple kinds of concepts at play here. Something more ambitious than simply Outbreak 2.0 with some more maps added on. And everybody's going to have some different opinions on whether or not that winds up being a good idea. I think a lot of people felt like it was a fun distraction, but at the end of the day, it didn't feel like a Rainbow Six experience, because fighting off the hordes of enemies while you were unleashing a hose of lead at just continual waves of running enemies didn't feel Rainbow Six. Not only does it not feel like Siege, but it doesn't feel like any of the other Rainbow Six games that came before it, which were all very kind of slow-paced, tactical, take your time, plan your approach, execute the delivery. And that Left 4 Dead experience that Outbreak gave us was kind of a foreign experience to what we would have been used to within the content of the franchise so far. I know personally I would love to have a solo or co-op campaign experience for Rainbow Six. I would absolutely love that, but I would prefer it was more in that tactical style of gameplay. Again, like all the other Rainbow Sixes that have come before Siege kind of implemented. Those tactical operations, executing various clandestine missions in all kinds of spots all around the world. But regardless, the Ubisoft conference for E3 will be here in a few days, and we will know a more definite answer at that point of what we'll be looking at. So what do you guys think? Are you excited for something like Rainbow Six Quarantine sounds like it could be? Or would you rather they took a different direction if they were going to implement a new single-player or co-op experience based in a campaign? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. And if you haven't already, please do like and subscribe. Make sure you click that notification icon so you're alerted as soon as new content becomes available. You can also follow me at IcyCat25 on either Facebook or Twitter. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.